Hello, everyone. My name is Darby Callahan, and this is the next episode of Callahan Corner. I'm going to be trying to start these up again, probably each Saturday, as that is my most free day. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here, um, and talk about a little bit about the presidential election and a little bit about each of the candidates that are running. So for the Democratic side, we only have two currently. The one is not yet announced. President Biden has not announced whether or not he will seek re-election again. He has hinted at it in various speeches and um, various discussions with his advisors, but um, he has not officially filled out the required forms with the Federal Election Commission. So it is not official that he is running, but we suspect that he will run. As far as the Republicans, it is really starting to heat up. We really don't know yet if Ron DeSantis or Mike Pence are going to run, but it is highly suspected that Ron DeSantis will run. And currently, he is the front runner for my support, just because I really enjoy what he is doing in Florida. But I'm not sure exactly if he will necessarily be the candidate of the GOP or not. He is the front runner for the polls, as we will look at in a little bit. As far as Mike Pence, he's likely not going to gain any support. I believe the polls show he's around 5 or 6%, if that. But Ron DeSantis is around the 30% mark last time I checked. Donald Trump is still leading the field with 40%, as we will see. But I'm hoping this video is more informative, and that's kind of what I want my page to go to, is more informative stuff rather than really jiving, rather than comical. Some of my first videos were comical, but I want this to really be informative. Marianne Williamson is the first Democratic candidate to announce her run. I matched with 52% of her beliefs. I will not be voting for her. I just don't support the Democratic Party these days. I think they're they're way too corrupt. I'm not saying the Republican Party is not corrupt. I definitely think there's some problems in both parties right now. In fact, I will get to a little bit about why I tend to support the Andrew Yang forwardist bipartisan movement. I will get to that in probably another session. But I just want to talk a little bit about the three of the candidates that I am kind of going back and forth. I tend to kind of fall under Ron DeSantis camp right now, going early on into the preseason, as I like to call it, is kind of what we called it in the Road to the White House class that I took at Loras in 2020 for a J term. So what I'm thinking for Ron DeSantis, I mean, I matched with him about 43%, which is why I'm kind of not sure if I will support him or Tim Scott. Tim Scott has not announced either yet. So the only candidates who have really announced for the Republican primary are Nikki Haley and Donald Trump. There's been a lot of minor candidates that I've noticed when you look on the FEC website. But those candidates usually don't ever see the ballot on all 50 states in the Republican Party. The GOP is very much into establishment candidates that have experience in Washington and have high experience in their state office, much as like the governors, etc. I would like to see more citizens, lower level citizens, be able to be given that chance, but I don't think in our two-party system today that will really happen. Maybe under the forward party movement, under the party of leadership of Andrew Yang, maybe we will see that in the next 10, 20 years. So that is something in politics to definitely watch. Yeah, Ron DeSantis has a really full pro-life view. And I think he's really going to build off of Trump policies. So a little bit about Ron DeSantis. Yeah, I really like what he's doing in Florida. He was very electable, and I think that's something that the Republicans need to really solidify when they solidify their candidate in the next few months, in the next year. I'm not sure when the Iowa caucus is, but for the Republicans, it will be likely in February of 2024. So we're about 11 months out. The Democrats have switched which state they will start with. So they will no longer be beginning with Iowa. So you'll see more GOP candidates in Iowa in the next few months, but you'll probably see less Democratic candidates. So a little bit about Tim Scott. I sided with him more about 65% with Tim Scott, according to the overview. Though I think I was more like 82% Tim Scott, but this is saying 65%. So there's a little discrepancy there, but I do support Tim Scott. I think he's got age behind him. I think he can really rally both sides. I think he could win the independents. But as long as Ron DeSantis is in the race, I don't think Tim Scott could beat him. But I do see a Tim Scott presidency in the near future, maybe in the next maybe in 12 years, maybe in 8 years, you'll see Tim Scott kind of come as a front runner. Nikki Haley is already in the race. She's pro-life. She is I'm not sure how old she is, but I think she's definitely a solid candidate. She doesn't have much support, like I've said before, but she may gain support, whether or not maybe if DeSantis gets out and it's a battle between maybe Nikki Haley and Tim Scott and Donald Trump. I do think in that three-way race, I think Donald Trump takes it, sadly. So we're going to close out the candidates because that's a little look at the candidates, and we can dive deeper. I'd like you to comment your questions or feel free to reach out to me there. At this point, I did say that I was going to support Ron DeSantis, so I'll go ahead and check Ron DeSantis, and then we'll go from there. And then the last thing I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about is the latest polls. I think these are something interesting to look at. Let's first look at how popular Joe Biden is. And going into the 2024 election, the biggest thing for the GOP, for the Republican Party, is finding a candidate that can beat Joe Biden. And with the disapproval rating of 51.3%, according to 538, which is a pretty reasonable source that I like to look at. And with an approval rating of 43.9%, that's really declined in the last few months. Since August, it looks like that's kind of when it kind of declined as far as the approving of him. So that's an interesting decline, and I think that's something we definitely need to watch going into 2024. So at this point, I do not think Joe Biden will come out with another, depending if who the GOP candidate is. I do not think he will win another 4 years. I think what he's doing to our country is horrible. And so, kind of looking at another poll here, Kamala Harris has a similar trend line. You can see through July to January that it has kind of declined in approvals, and her approval is actually less than Joe Biden's. So that's something to watch in the next few months as we get closer to the 2024 election. And Donald Trump, his disapproval is an interesting thing to look at. 52.7% of people disapprove or unfavorable rating of Donald Trump. So that's something to definitely watch when we go into the 2024 election, if that goes up or down, and definitely watch Joe Biden's as well. Is the results of polls, whether or not you want a Republican or Democratic Congress. It looks at an even 46 to 45% as of February 24th, 27th poll. So not quite a month ago. that is what the American population who took this poll are representing. So that's an interesting thing to watch going into the 2024 election, and we'll have to see what Congress plans to do in the next couple months. If you look at polls from this month, the beginning of this month, the general election between Biden and Haley, there's a 3-point difference and Biden tends to take it by that 3%. I'm not sure where the other 40% fall. I'm guessing those are undecided or unsure. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on. And there was a 3-point margin on a Trump-Biden poll back also at the beginning of March 4th and through the 7th. So those are definitely polls to watch in the next couple of months. And in the state of Florida, the new University of North Florida also had a poll and has DeSantis and Trump as winning the state in the general election. So those are two polls to watch as well. With that, I think I'm going to wrap it up. With those, that is the last poll that I will highlight. I'll keep you updated on these polls, and I will probably not have a poll. Well, I might have a poll on my Twitter. Again, my Twitter account handle is at Callahan_. That's the underscore Darby. It's at Callahan_Darby. And that is Callahan Corner. Thank you, and God bless. Have a nice night.